for more analysis, we have University of Maryland economist Peter Morici and former advisor to President Bill Clinton, Simon Rosenberg. Good to see both you guys. Simon, this isn't enough for you. Tell us why.
Well, many of the ethics lawyers that have looked at this, first of all, it's unprecedented, right? We've never been through anything like this before. And what the line that everybody drew on this, who's looked at this, is about divestiture, about him not moving away from control of the company, but actually releasing control over the assets themselves. And so he wouldn't personally benefit from any of the decisions that were made or things that he did while he's in the White House. This is not going to pass muster for people who've been studying this closely as much as they've made it.
Does it pass mustard for you? Or are you one of those people?
I'm one of those people.
Okay, so what exactly do you want him to do? I'm just curious because he did build a multi-billion-dollar empire. Are you suggesting he just sell off the entire thing?
I think
in a fire sale right now?
Yes. He has to do two things. I think he has to do a public audit that he releases to everybody about what his holdings are so that we know what he holds and what he doesn't hold. It's a secret business empire. He could have hundreds of billions of dollars of deals with the Russians. We have no way of knowing, right?
So you want him to sell off everything he owns in a massive fire sale, and basically you would ensure the fact that no other businessman or woman would ever want to become president of the United States because it means you're just going to annihilate your own wealth. Let's talk, for example, about, we do a lot of M&A coverage, mergers and acquisitions on this network, and I've certainly done it throughout my career. You know, when you sell a company, it's a big deal. Sometimes it takes years. It takes tons of due diligence. If you were to sell off this in some kind of fire sale or asset by asset by asset, it would be, Peter Morici, would it not be incredibly difficult in part because you're not dealing with a liquid portfolio? These are real estate holdings.
It would be impossible to meet Mr. Rosenberg's requirements. You can't sell these assets that quickly, and selling them within a reasonable amount of time, say within 2 years, would force him to take fire sale prices and a great diminution of wealth. This is the typical Democratic position, that people that are successful are not qualified to hold high public office, unless, of course, they become successful in between the presidencies of, say, one Clinton and another by selling their time for huge sums of money. There's really nothing more that Donald Trump could do today. Even as this is structured, it's going to cost him a great deal of money. The value of assets, hotels in particular, changes over time. The fact that he cannot do foreign deals would indicate that he's going to be stuck, his assets frozen, and he's going to have to take losses that he would not otherwise have taken. His domestic deals will have to go before an ethics officer and be screened by an independent party. Simon Rosenberg is simply imposing conditions no successful businessman with direct investments can satisfy to be president of the United States.
You know, Peter's making the point, and I, in so many words, am making it as well, that you are being incredibly unrealistic here. And you're being more unrealistic than the American public, because guess what? They knew he was a businessman when they elected him to office.
I understand that, and current polls show that they actually are very worried about the conflict of interest that are going to come up during his presidency. Let me give you one example. If you want to have a long talk about this, I'll give you one example, which is, let's say he's got secret business dealings in Saudi Arabia right now, and that his business partner in Saudi Arabia is also one of the biggest funders of ISIS in the region, right? We have no way of knowing that. It can be exploited by foreign intelligence.
He's already made it clear he's not going to do any foreign deals.
No. He has existing deals, existing relationships that he has that can be exploited by foreign intelligence.
You're going to create a scenario in which no one who, maybe isn't a community organizer and has devoted their life to
That's not true, Trish.
Democratic
There's a standard way of doing
within your party would ever be a success.
It's not true. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm having a lot of trouble with the notion that it is not true. I don't know how anybody with these kinds of assets manages to divest them.
Yeah, look, leave it there, right? Because you can't possibly. And it's not as easy to say as Rex Tillerson and his Exxon.
We should accept a level of corruption and national security risk?
No. Absolutely not. And the American people need to hold him accountable. But the guy's not even in office.
No level of corruption greater than what's present with the Clintons.
All right. I can't hear anyone. You're all talking over each other. Simon, finish your thought, and then over to Peter.
Yeah, we have no idea what his assets are. They're secret. He's hiding them from all of us. He's not issued his tax returns. All he has to do, what I would be satisfied with, if he did a public audit of an outside organization to come in and tell us what his assets are and to make sure there are no investments with bad people around the world. There's no Russian investments.
So, Simon, you're asking for a multitude of different things, let me just point out, because when we started this conversation, you want him to sell everything. and be completely done with the business.
I do.
Are you now saying you don't want that? You'll be satisfied with some kind of audit?
But we're not getting the divestiture. So what I'll settle for, since that's not going to happen, is for him to acknowledge and list every single loan and business arrangement that he has. It's a reasonable thing, by the way, that would be required of anyone else going into the government, including Rex Tillerson, by the way.
Rex Tillerson, I just want to point out, because people have made this comparison as well, and Peter, you can elaborate on this. Rex Tillerson can far more easily divest himself of any ties to Exxon by just selling his stock, right? I mean, this is what Hank Paulson did. He had Goldman stock. He sold it. You can put it all in treasuries, and then you're done with it. It's in that so-called blind trust. But when you have built a massive business, Peter, for people like Simon to expect that you're just going to sell it to the, highest bidder. In this case, it would be the lowest bidder because they know you got to sell it if you want to continue as president of the United States. I mean, that's just a recipe for basically setting up a scenario where no one successful runs for office.
Absolutely. What we got here is a case of demagoguery and an attempt to relitigate the election. The whole notion that the whole notion that releasing his tax returns, whether or not that should or shouldn't be done, would shed considerable more light on his holdings than we have now, is absolute nonsense. He was correct in what he said in the press conference that the materials that he filed at the Federal Election Commission tell us far more about those details. Whether he should lay out all his holdings and his debts and so forth, I go along with that. But let's face it. The situation is so complex. No matter how hard he tried to lay it all out, they would find problems with it and poke at him and poke at him and poke at him until the next election.
Do not understand business. They do not understand numbers, and they don't understand how complicated all this stuff is. And anyway, I always
for the last 8 years, Barack Obama has demonstrated that the Democrats don't believe in private enterprise. Period.
I appreciate hearing from you, Simon. Thank you for sharing all your thoughts. And Peter, always a pleasure.